Hey, Shalom. There's the second installment of the lesson. The ministry was easy. That anyone could do it. All right, anyone could do it. So we devils ain't stopping shit, man. All right, I just say it like that. But sorry for the technical difficulty. The device had died even when we were being charged. But anyway, we're gonna pick up where we left off in St. Matthew 7:25.
This is St. Matthew 7:25. And the rain descended, and the floods came, and the winds blew and beat upon that house, and it fell not, for it was founded upon a rock.
And we had established what that rock represents. It's a solid foundation, a solid surface or a solid foundation. It's really Yahweh by Shemeshai. As it says in Deuteronomy 32:4. Okay, and not everyone was preordained to stand on a solid surface. That's why these people are so fragile. They're so easily offended, at the word, because they don't know the Lord. We brought it 1 John 5:19 earlier. Okay, go ahead.
And everyone that heareth these sayings of mine and doeth them not shall be likened unto a foolish man which built his house upon the sand. And the rain descended, and the floods came, and the winds blew and beat upon that house, and it fell, and great was the fall of it.
Mm-hmm. Great was the fall of that house. Okay. All right. In regards to these faithless people, right? They don't, they're not standing on a solid sound foundation of faith. They don't have faith. That's why 2 Ezra 15. So I was going to get that real quick. Actually, I'll grab it. Second Ezra 15:4 reads, "For all the unfaithful shall die in their unfaithfulness." That's the vast majority of these people. They don't believe. Okay, they don't have that solid. They don't have that solid foundation, which is the power of the God of the Bible. Okay, how about Shemeshai? Okay, I think that was it on that. You read the 27th verse on St. Matthew 25, St. Matthew 7. Yeah. All right. Let's segue over to 2 Corinthians 11:23.
This is 2 Corinthians 11:23. Are they ministers of Yahweh? I speak as a fool. I am more. Are they ministers of Yahweh Shai? I speak as a fool. I am more in labors more abundant, in stripes above measure, in prison more frequent, in deaths oft. Of the Jews 5 times received I 40 stripes, save one. Thrice I was beaten with rods. Once was I stoned thrice. I suffered shipwreck. A night and a day I have been in the deep.
All right, so Apostle Paul went through a lot for the sake of his ministry. Once again, it's another example of Sirach 3:18, how the greater thou art, the more humble thou shalt be. Roughly paraphrasing. Okay, so why? Because even in the midst of his afflictions, the Lord still dealt with him. Because he said, "I was stoned once," meaning he was resurrected. Okay, why was he resurrected? Why was Apostle Paul giving him the right to actually be resurrected? Because he believed in Yahweh by Shemeshai, because his faith was established on that solid rock, that solid foundation, really Yahweh by Shemeshai. Okay, so this is why the Lord Yahweh by Shemeshai was even with him, even in the time of his greatest afflictions, because it says in Acts 14:22, in order to get to the kingdom of heaven, we're gonna have to, endure affliction. Through much tribulation shall we enter to the kingdom of heaven. We'll go into Acts 14:22. Okay, you keep reading.
In weariness and painfulness, in watchings often, in hunger and thirst, in fasting often, in cold and nakedness. Besides those things that are without, that which cometh upon thee daily, the cares of all the churches.
Yeah, you keep reading. You get the last one in verse 29.
Okay. Who is weak, and I am not weak? Who is offended, and I burn not?
Okay, so Apostle Paul was weakened for the sake of his ministry. Okay, because he said, because all he had to endure, even being stoned to death. Okay, you don't get no, you getting put to death for the truth. Okay, who in the right who in the vast of the world, the vast majority of the world, okay, can sit there with a straight face and say that they're willing to lose their lives for this truth. A lot of them not going to be able to do that. They're not willing to do that because they have not been given the spiritual strength to fight for righteousness' sake, even to the point of death. Let's get 2 Corinthians 12, verses 7 to 11.
2 Corinthians 12 and 7. And at least I should be exalted above measure through the abundance of revelations. That was given to me a thorn in the flesh, the messenger of Satan to buffet me. At least I should be exalted above measure. For this thing I besought the Lord thrice, that it might depart from me. And he said unto me, my grace is sufficient for thee, for my strength is made perfect in weakness.
So it's Yahushua talking to him. This is Yahushua, okay, in a red letter, talking to Apostle Paul, telling him no, basically rejecting his his request to have that thorn removed from him, man. Okay, and Yahushua told him no. This is Alpha and Omega, and rightfully so. Yahushua had to suffer the greatest death within the history of mankind. So who's more qualified to reject, one's request of being absolved from infirmities, than Yahushua, man. And it's for the greater good for Apostle Paul, because he's dealing with Apostle Paul on a higher level. See, that's why there's this meme that I came across on social media where it said the pathway to heaven, the pathway to hell feels like heaven, and the pathway to heaven feels like hell. See, case in point, in the case of glutton, stuff in the damn face all the time, it feels good, but within a long haul, they're going to feel like hell because their body's going to have all kinds of inflammation in it. Whereas you have somebody who's suffering hell in terms of going through all kinds of rigorous training, especially military training, day in and day out, dieting, being disciplined within a diet, going to sleep early. That's not easy to be able to deny yourself. And I go through that every single day, within that example, okay? As I'm sure the majority of us do. But that's just further examples of whom the Lord is dealing with, who he chastises, man, to strengthen them. Okay, that's why he's dealing with he uses the weak things to confound the wise, because the weak things are being strengthened. Okay, and then the temptations and the ridicule and the persecution that comes with being in this ministry, and that's too much of a burden for the vast majority of the people, man. That's why they would easily fold like a cheap ass lawn chair doing what we do. Refer to friends that, hey, going back into the lesson title, if this ministry was easy, then anyone could do it. Okay? Nobody can, the vast majority cannot endure what Apostle Paul had to endure. Okay? Case in point. So let's nobody can really endure what Yahushua had to endure, man. Okay? All right? And even less extreme example, so to say, because once again, Yahushua suffered the greatest death known to mankind history, man. And you have other men that suffered, including Apostle Paul, Stephen, being put to death, stoned to death, right? Peter, and so forth. Okay, let's continue.
Therefore, I take pleasure in infirmities, in reproaches, in necessities, in persecutions, in distresses for Yahushua's sake. Mm-hmm. But when I am weak, then am I strong.
That's the point right there. When I am weak, I am strong. You see? So that's why our leadership is so important, man. They did all the heavy lifting. Okay. You see, even in this modern day time, when we didn't really have internet like that, these men had to go to the libraries and do heavy lifting, man, in terms of doing extensive research through the encyclopedias, through the books, the different pieces of literature they had to go through, bring out the information, the useful information to that secular history and filter the biblical prophecy properly and correctly. It takes a lot of time to do that. Okay? It takes a lot of time to do that. And sure, Walmart was in the water for the skill for that. I see you lighting it up. Y'all should show the dark. The water for that. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, the elder apostles on them going into the libraries, doing, indulging in extensive study, by the methods I just mentioned. But they didn't really have internet back then. If they did have it, you had the cheap ass, slow ass, dial up internet, like Roadrunner, whatever have you. So we have it made now, man. We're going live just through the push of a button on a damn cell phone. So I haven't always been said, our leadership has suffered greatly for us to have the luxury to be in this ministry. That's why we give them double honors. Okay, all that foolish pride that should be out of the window, man. Okay, when it comes down to reverencing the true priest of the Lord Yahweh Shai, as we were told to do in Sirach 7:29. So I believe, let's keep reading to verse 12. To verse 11, so I can.
Verse 11. Yeah, verse 11. I become a fool in glory. A fool ye have compelled me, for I ought to have been commended of you.
Yeah, glory.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
Okay, you want to read that?
Yeah, just start from the top.
Okay. 2 Corinthians 12:11. I have become a fool in glory. Mm-hmm. Ye have compelled me, I ought to have been commended of you, for in nothing am I behind the very chiefest apostles, though I be nothing.
Mm-hmm. All right, so they commended the Apostle Paul. Okay, but he told him, he told him that he reiterated what Yahushua reiterated. Yeah, he was a faithful, humble servant, and he didn't want to be just like Yahushua didn't want to be crowned. He didn't want to be in a position of being reverenced like that. Because we really, in apostles, have the same spirit. Okay, that's the perfect example of a true leader, man. Not being not exalting oneself. And in due time, Yahweh Shemashah is going to exalt us, man. Okay, you see, so as the Apostle Paul was saying, man, he became a fool in the glory of the Yahweh Shemashah, man. Okay, with the intentions of the Lord's heart. Okay, consisting of the salvation of the Israelites come to pass through the foolishness of preaching. Okay, marking the elect and sealing the word of binding the testimony of this word within the hearts of the elect. This speaks about the book of Isaiah, the 28th chapter. Okay, sealing the elect and having them eventually awakened, baptized in the Holy Spirit, renewed. Okay, having their minds renewed in this truth, and then eventually into the salvation. And then on the other side of the spectrum, damnation happening, occurring upon all of our enemies, the heathen nations, especially the lowest of all of them, the lowest and vile of all of them, the Edomites. Okay, so this is a part of the glory in which Apostle Paul was made a fool by way of being ridiculed openly, being put to open shame, even being put on trial and eventually put to death. Okay, that's a prime example of him being weakened, okay, being downtrodden, okay, for us to be strong. Okay, for the Jakes that existed at that time specifically to be strong, which we're all reincarnated. Okay, what I'm saying? So all of the elect that are here now, okay, we're being benefited off the weakness of the leadership of Israel that the Lord set up, so that way we can be strengthened, okay, through their weaknesses, man. And Yahushua is a perfect example of that. Because through his stripes we were healed. Case in point. All right. So this is why the Apostle Paul said, he said he ought not to be committed of people that were committing him because of what we just mentioned. Okay, he said for nothing, and he said that nothing in him is behind the very chief apostles. Okay, but he be nothing. Meaning basically, Apostle Paul was even though Apostle Peter was the head of the church, Apostle Paul had a very high office. He was because he was appointed the apostle of the Gentiles. So his contribution to this ministry was very important. And by way of the high lot that the Lord gave him, he had to, came with a equal measure of humility, as it speaks about Sirach 3:18. That's why he made the statement here in 2 Corinthians 12:11. And that took great strength for him to have that sentiment and to express it openly. You see, because true strength is what lies within true character. See that only it can be given by Yahweh by Shem Shah. Okay, not to be a scoundrel. Okay, not to be a niggar, not to be covetous, not to be a thief, not to be a habitual blatant liar. See, those are traits of Esau, man, that the world is emulating. But rather, you have the nobility and the morality and integrity of those who believe in the Lord.
Do it next time when it's
Yeah, we in there. Here. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
What is it?
Are we good? Okay.
Uh,
1 second. All right. Let's finish this out.
all right. Mhm. Just put this one up there.
Yeah, I know. You took it off right now.
Okay. We don't give up.
Yes, sir.
We don't
If
stop.
there's a will,
Yep.
there's a way.
Let's plug this one in. Mhm. This ministry got to go out. And if we have anything to do with it, it's going to go out. Mhm. All right. There you go.
Thanks. We're back. We're going to go ahead and finish this up. Slightly for the technical difficulties, but we're going to go ahead and finish this out. So let's continue off in that 2 Corinthians 12.
Yeah, I don't have it.
Oh, Slacky. Yeah, just use mine. Matter of fact, use the sword. Use the sword. Yeah. Second Corinthians 12 and things left up verse 11.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, you got it.
Now,
Yeah, you got it. The New Testament. Yeah, go to turn over to the New Testament, you'll see it. Meantime, get this priesthood brother Sonny Howard put up 1 Timothy 5:17. Let the elders that rule well be counted worthy of double honor, especially they who labor in the word and doctrine. That's it.
see, where's the images? I'm not used to that. But
Don't worry about it.
Oh, okay.
Um, that's all good. 2 Corinthians 12, I think we left off in 11. 2 Corinthians.
He ended it up.
Well, it's the same thing. It's 6 and 11.
Oh,
Yes. 2 Corinthians 12 and 11. I am become a fool and glorying, says, ye have compelled me, for I ought to have been commended of you. For in nothing am I behind the very chiefest apostles, though I be nothing. So he's saying, he's saying he's the chiefest of the apostles. He's like, well, I'm nothing. I'm just anyway. I'm just a humble servant. Even when Saint John the Revelator saw the vision of the angel, when he bowed down before the angel told him, I'm just your fellow servant. So once again, the greater thou art, the more humble thou art. And see, the people in this world that have a lot of power, especially in Hollywood, mainly rulers of the darkness of this world, the Zionist bankers, Amalek, the Amalekites. You know what I'm saying? These rich politicians, celebrity athletes and so forth. A lot of these people are very proud now. They abuse their power. They abuse their influence. They're wicked. See, and that wickedness is further exhibited by the traits of Esau, Edom, the pride, the covetousness, the lasciviousness, the narcissism, the entitlement. You see that? Because these people are weak. Those are weak traits to have, man. Because those are not exhibitions of strength of character, case in point. It takes a very strong individual to exhibit the true traits of righteousness, nobility, morality, integrity, okay, including facing the possibility of being put to death for the truth's sake. See that? This is why this ministry is easy, then anyone can do it. It's not easy to do because a lot of people don't have the spiritual strength to deny themselves. Right? So let's go ahead and grab Psalm 94, verse 16 to 18. Psalm 94 and 16. Okay. And it reads, who will rise up for me against the evildoers, or who will stand up for me against the workers of iniquity? So who's rising up for the Lord Yahweh Shemshai against evildoers? Those individuals whom he has appointed his strength upon. Okay. As we read in Philippians 4:13 and Psalm 18 and 32 earlier. Okay. So this is Psalm 94 and 17. Unless the Lord Yahweh Shemshai had been my help, my soul had almost dwelt in silence. When I said my foot slippeth, thy mercy, O Lord, Yahweh Shemshai held me up. And lines up what it says in Proverbs 24:16. When it said when a righteous man falls 7 times, he gets back up. Why? Because the Lord Yahweh Shemshai, okay, provided that mercy for him to be held back up. He's read here in Psalm 94 and 18. He's not going to give his luxury to the vast majority who are wicked, who are laden in sin and love to have it so. So this is Sirach 4 and 28. And it says, strive for the truth unto death, and the Lord Yahweh Shemshai shall fight for thee. That's a perfect precept to end it off on. He's only going to fight for those who fight for him, who are willing to fight themselves every single day. To fight the old man every single day, man. See, and that can only be done through the strength from on high, man. So we're going to end it off on that note. Pray this lesson was very edifying, exhorting to elect. Let's end it off with this precept that brother put up on the comment board. The son of Yahweh by Shimon Shah 144 put up Psalm 22 and 19 says, but be not thou far from me, O Lord Yahweh by Shimon Shah. O my strength, haste thee to help me. See? Yahweh by Shimon Shah is our strength. And the true name of the Lord Yahweh by Shimon Shah is where we're going to draw strength from. Okay. Especially in times of trouble. especially during times of Jacob trouble and in the midst of that destroying wind in Jeremiah 51 that's going to sweep through the main place for our captivity, America, Babylon Great, and completely demolish this place, thermonuclear fire radiation by way of 200 million ICBM missile warheads. Okay, so we're going to end it off on a note. Once again, praise God, edifying Lord into let and give all praise and glory, infinite honor to our power, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Yahweh, Hashem, Shah, Hashem, Rakatadash. Okay, meaning all praise to the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, in the name of the God's Son, okay, and the Holy Spirit, who is our strength and our Redeemer, and light of salvation. Once again, double honor to the apostles, and Elder Bishop, Great Millstone for teaching them well, and Shalom to the elect. Okay, Wa, Mawaf, blah, 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 soon, very soon. On to the next. Shalom. Soon.